Hello. I don't think anyone could deny that these are strange and challenging times indeed. So much so that I can't work from my normal studio. So, for the next few videos, I hope you'll forgive me not appearing all the way through. That may be a bonus, as much as a drawback, but you'll get my audio and you'll get my normal slides, plus a contact point where you can raise any questions. I hope you still enjoy the videos, and once we're through this crisis, I look forward to rejoining you from the usual spot. Welcome to this Skillick Explains video. This week I want to take on a new number that's emerging in financial reports here and there, and that is EBITDAC, and I want to explain why investors should be very wary of it. Of course, before that, I need to explain what it is. So the background would be what? Well, the coronavirus has hit company profits hard around the world. You don't need me to tell you that, it's intuitive. And therefore, some company directors may be tempted to get a little bit creative, as I would call it, when it comes to reporting profits. They know results are not going to hold up compared to previous years, and they're looking for ways, potentially, to support the profit number, to reassure various parties, and I'll come back to those in a moment. The latest example, there are many, is EBITDAC. Now, this isn't new. This idea of flattering profits is hardly new. It's been around for donkey's years. Many firms, in fact, already report their own version of profit. So they will publish the statutory numbers, gross profit, operating profit, and so on, but claim that those numbers don't really properly reflect what they do. In some way, they need to come up with a different number. So already, before EBITDAC came along, we've seen companies report headline profits, adjusted profits, core earnings numbers. And these are big listed companies quite often. The likes of Tesco have done this in the past, for example. So don't think this is limited to small companies you've never heard of. It can be quite widespread, adjusted headline core numbers. Now, the latest one to come along out of the woodwork is EBITDAC. So what is this thing? Well, in other videos, I've covered EBITDA. Now, EBITDA is a well-known adjusted operating profit number. So basically, you take the operating profit number and you state it before certain costs. Interest being one, the logic being that you don't want to muddy the operating result with finance costs. Tax is another, the T. So again, the logic being that tax rules are very different to profit rules, so that needs to come out. And then depreciation and amortization, the D and the A to make EBITDA. That is companies saying, well, CapEx blurs the way our company looks compared to other companies. And that arbitrary depreciation amortization number decided by the directors is best taken out. It's too subjective to be meaningful in the context of our results. So you end up with earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. And every time you add those numbers back, you make the resulting profit figure bigger. So now we have EBITDAC. And EBITDAC says we need to go further still in these strange times. Not only do we need to take out interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, but we need to estimate and take away the impact of the coronavirus as well. So it actually adds back another quite sizable adjustment in the companies where we've seen it for the effect of coronavirus. And the result, not surprisingly you might say, is a higher profit number than you'd get if you just started with the E, the operating profit number, if you like. Now, how does this actually flatter profits mechanically? Well, imagine you've got a firm showing an operating loss, it's been a difficult year, of £20 million. They try EBITDA, so they add back interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, and that adds back 20 million to get them to zero. Remember, these are positive adjustments. So then the board think, right, let's add back a further 20 million for what we think is the impact of coronavirus on this year's results. So imagine they've now got an EBITDAC figure of 20 million positive. So it's like magic. You've gone from an operating loss of 20 million to EBITDA of 0 and EBITDAC of positive 20. Brilliant. Now, who is this new EBITDAC number actually aimed at? And the answer is investors. It's reassuring. The firm can say, well, if it weren't for this one-off event, coronavirus, we would be much more profitable. Banks, because companies have got half an eye on borrowing, breaching covenants and so on. So this is a way to show banks that they actually are covering interest and so on and debt better than otherwise they actually are, if you like. And of course the remuneration committee, the management team want to be able to show the remuneration committee, the non-execs, they're doing a good job. And EBITDAC offers the opportunity to potentially flatter a number that might be linked to remuneration. No big surprise. So what's the problem? Why don't I like it very much? Well, essentially, these are permanently lost profits. Coronavirus profits are not coming back. It's not like you can say, well, they'll be back next year. They're gone. Secondly, the adjustment is highly subjective. I mean, why 20 million? Why not 10? How much is the adjustment for coronavirus and where do you stop? As Sabrina Fox, an advisor to the ELFA, has put it, it is literally a fiction, this adjustment. And I think clutching at straws like this, creating a profit number out of nothing, might hint at further problems. I'm not a big fan of profit adjustments. I'm not alone in this. Terry Smith, the great investor at Fundsmith, isn't either. And I think that's because it can hint at a kind of psychology within management of, well, let's try and mask the actual result and make things look better than they really are. So there you have it. EBITDAC, in short, not for me. Any questions? editor@killick.com. And if you'd like to watch the video on EBITDA rather than EBITDAC that I mentioned briefly, then killick.com/learn. And I would look around in the ratios section.